Okay guys, I hope the lighting isn't too bad for you. It's daytime and I don't have the door open, so it's a little dark. I don't know if I have you guys zoomed in or not. Yeah, I do. So I'm gonna do the my oatmeal milk and honey today. Now this is a recipe that sorry while I adjust the camera a little bit. This is a recipe that I have previously given away, and I'm going to put that recipe in the information box instead of just give it to you guys here in the video, because I find that really hard, especially if it's something that I actually want to make. I hate to have to be pausing the video and stuff. So this recipe is made a little bit differently, and I made a mistake, and my oils are different in this recipe than they would normally be, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and do it anyway, because I already had the oils ready and the milk ready. So this is my bucket of oils. I'm making a double recipe, so I'm using more than what the recipe is gonna say below. So this has a really high amount of oatmeal and goat's milk, which I used. In this one, I used 1 tablespoon per pound of soap, and then honey. I used 3 tablespoons in this recipe just because it does have a lot of sugar and I don't want anything crazy to happen. And then I used a little more than 4 tablespoons of oatmeal, which is basically 1 tablespoon per pound. I like to use a little bit extra. And then my cream is the same thing. I use about 1 ounce per pound for this recipe. And my fragrance oil is the same. I use the oatmeal milk and honey fragrance oil, which is from my own supplier in the SoapBox Bath and Body Supplies. So what I'm gonna do in just a minute is I'm gonna take these powders and mix them into my oils before my lye. That's important because they typically take a little longer to mix, and you want to mix them in before your lye is ready, just in case your lye gets too hot or anything like that. So I'm going to do that in just a second, and then I'm going to show you how I do the milk. So this is my frozen coconut milk is what I use. I have used before in the past coconut milk, a mix of coconut milk and almond milk, so you can do that too. You can use any kind of milk you want. I just like coconut milk in this recipe, and it's basically you freeze it, and then I'm going to mix my lye into this. I don't find that I need to put this in an ice bath while I'm mixing it. I know if you see some other videos, they'll tell you that you need to have it in an ice bath. I don't find that that's necessary, but that's just me. So I am going to use my lye a little bit at a time and start mixing this in together. You want to make sure that your milk doesn't have any freezer burn, because it does take away from the qualities. So try to use your milk fresh, unless you have like some really good freezer bags that you can store it in. That's not gonna cause it to burn. Now, it's a slow process. It takes a lot longer, but if you want to use milks, I have found that this is the best way to do it so that you don't have anything crazy going on. I try to get as small pieces as possible. I've got like some little Darth Vaders in here and some vampire teeth, and these ones are a little bigger, so it might take me a little bit longer than normal, so I'll probably end up fast forwarding through this part, because I know a lot of people don't like really crazy long videos. So you can see that it is already starting to melt. This recipe, if you've never done it before, it can be a little scary, and it can mess up on you just because you are using milk. So I don't recommend this for like a beginner. Now, the only thing with this soap is the fragrance oil. You can make it without fragrance. I make it just like a honey soap, so that it's more natural, since a lot of people don't like fragrance oils, but I haven't found that to be a problem in my market. So you will notice a smell. This will have like an odd smell, but nothing to be alarmed by, and it may change colors on you depending on what kind of milk you use as well. It can turn like orange or anything like that, but I haven't noticed that it causes like a problem or anything like that. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna keep mixing this, and then I'm going to mix up the powders in my oils over there, and we will come right back. Alright guys, we're back. So my lye is completely mixed up into my coconut milk, and my oils are completely blended, pre-blended with my powders. Now, I do want to make a note and say that I do use honey powder, just because I find that it's easier to work with. I know regular honey, you want to use like raw honey, and it can tend to heat up your mixture a lot faster because of the sugars and stuff that are in it. So I just use honey powder. I've had great success with it, and I've been using it for about a year now. So if you can find it, definitely get it, because for me it's been, you know, a miracle worker as far as making my soaps and then not having to worry about finding the right kind of honey or a beekeeper or anything like that. So this is what works for me. Now, because of all of the additives in this soap, you're not going to have a completely like smooth bar of soap. It's not going to come out as smooth as a regular bar of soap. Like even, well, that's weird. So if you work with clays or anything like that, I know a lot of people like to mix them like in their cream or into any other liquid that they're going to be like super fatting with, or adding it into their mixture at trace. That's fine, you can do that too. I just find that it's time consuming and I just don't like to do it. That way your powders will dissolve a little bit better. But I find, especially with this recipe, that since my cream is cold, the powders don't dissolve regardless, especially the oatmeal, because it's a little more grainy. I don't know if they have like a more powdered version of it, or if you want to grind it down more yourself. That's completely up to you. Either way, you're still getting the same recipe. So we're going to continue on here. Now, I don't add any colors, so this recipe is pretty basic and pretty straightforward. Uh-oh. Okay, so I'm gonna mix in my coconut milk now. Again, there's no colorant in here or anything like that. The only thing is the milk and the fragrance and the cream. The cream I add at trace, just because I find it blends better that way. It doesn't really blend too well with the oils. Alone, you can, but I find in this recipe, especially adding the cream at trace just helps to keep it cool. Again, I'm not going to gel this recipe. I have found that it tends to overheat when gelled. So I'm going to mix this now, and then I will add in my fragrance and my cream and pour. There you have it. That is the oatmeal milk and honey soap, and that is how I make it. Again, I'll put the recipe in the file, or I mean in the description below, and there it is.